Let's talk about the 1A championship game because, as we mentioned, a lot of juniors with Bishop Luers. This is a very senior-laden team for South Adams, also who came up 1 point short at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, 11 o'clock kick against Covenant Christian. He couldn't score any faster. No. I guess you could have scored on the opening kick.
True.
But 16 seconds in, we'll take it. And then to be down 27-6 at half, it didn't look good. They came back. We ultimately know how it turned out with the 2-point conversion with a minute and a half left, just coming up a bit short for South Adams in a 41-40 loss. How do you reflect on this game now that you kind of had a couple days to sink it in? You and I were both there.
Yeah.
And obviously we were pulling for South Adams to win this and hoping for those guys that we've covered for so long to come home with the state championship, but to come home just 1 point short in the ultimate goal.
I mean, talk about a roller coaster ride of emotions for us, let alone if you're on the field or on the sidelines or in the stands as a fan of South Adams. Down 21, you come back and take a 7-point lead. At that point, I'm feeling pretty good, 34-27. Austin Frazier looked really frazzled at that point for Covenant Christian, threw a couple bad interceptions, and then he hits the receiver on that post route to tie the game, and I think that changed it. And then South Adams gets down there, scores, goes for 2. I think Coach Mosier would say not the best play call. The call for 2 was not a problem.
I don't fault that decision at all.
Not at all.
You play to win the game, as they say.
You do.
And they had talked about, you and I, when we were talking to them after the game, that was a decision they had made.
Yeah.
I mean, James Arnold said literally years before they had talked about if we go to state and have a chance to win on a 2-point conversion or tie for overtime, we're going for it. So that decision was never there. It was just play call decision.
Yeah, and when you look at it too, Covenant Christian had scored 3 times in that game in drives of less than a minute, and there was a minute and a half to go. It was forever time. So even if you do tie it, there's a chance for them to go down and score and win the game anyway. And I think if you go into overtime, you look at the strengths and weaknesses of each team in that game. Starting at the 10, you get 4 downs to score. I mean, Covenant Christian was able to run the ball all over the place with Michael Wilson, and then South Adams is kind of limited with just 20 yards. They really like to get the receivers downfield, right? So I don't know if overtime benefits South Adams. I feel like it more benefits Covenant Christian. So for all those reasons, I support the decision to go for 2. But, man, to have that play called back, I'm sure is something that is going to keep some South Adams coaches up for quite a while.
And you and I were talking about this beforehand, and you noted it there, is that with that spread, with 4 wide receivers wide, well, it's what they like to run. It's essentially their base offense. That does limit them when you're 3 yards out. You know, there just isn't enough room to make some of the plays where we've seen Drew Stutzman run behind a defender, or Braden Bixler, or Trey Schock, or just the Aiden Warner, the myriad of offensive guys. Like, it does limit what they can do offensively, what they like to do, what they're really good at, what kind of got them there, if you will.
I would have liked to see come out 4 wide, keep Christian Somerset in his protection, give James Arnold the chance to win the game, or at least put South Adams in front. A play we didn't see all day that has worked in the past against Southwood, it was very effective, was a quarterback draw. Spread them out and draw with Arnold was a possibility. So, hindsight's 20/20. Hindsight's undefeated. It's easy to say, but the hype of the moment, Christian Somerset said, "Give me the ball, I'll get in." Unfortunately, the blocking wasn't there. Covenant Christian played it tremendously well. You can see in the pre-snap that they know exactly what's coming. South Adams had run that play one time before in the second half for like a 10-yard gain on the outside. They knew it was coming, and South Adams just wasn't able to execute. And unfortunately, we're talking Bishop Luers. Oh, they have so many young kids. I mean, you look at that South Adams team, and it's completely decimated to graduation. Some talent coming back, but when you felt, man, this was their time, this was their chance, and they fell just short.
Yeah, they've been talking about this opportunity for years, hoping that this senior class could put it together, and unfortunately fall 1 point short. And I know we talked about that, much like in Bishop Luers. It wasn't just the one play, so I hate to harp on it, because I think that the casual fan is going to say, all right, well, why'd they do this? Why'd they do that in this play? But just the entirety of the game, to be able to come back when you're down 21 points at halftime. I mean, after that first touchdown from Aiden Warner in the first 16 seconds, Covenant Christian owned that football game in the first half. Michael Wilson was fast and also quick, could change directions. Like you saw when he ran the football with his foot speed and just the quickness, he was going to be a problem.
Right.
And eventually, I won't say they corralled him, but they certainly made improvements in the second half, which is reflective of some pretty good coaching and discipline by the football players.
They did a great job, particularly in that third quarter, which I believe the yardage was 189 to 39 in favor of South Adams. They kept Michael Wilson corralled, and I think the biggest play of that game, other than the 2-point conversion, was that post-route touchdown, because it settled Frazier down, and it also, I think, opened up some things for Michael Wilson. After that, he was really able to find his running mojo again in space. And so I really thought Covenant Christian was against the wall there, down 7, and for Frazier to come back and make a play, I think galvanized that entire team, and it kind of took the wind out of the sails a little bit for South Adams. I think South Adams felt like they were just going to run away with it. I felt so too at 34-27, just the way they were playing. But credit to Covenant Christian, a championship football team, made the play when they had to, kind of reversed the momentum, and then rode it to a 1-point victory.
As we wrap up the 1A state championship, talk a little bit about where South Adams goes from here. You know, obviously Grant Mosier, the cupboard isn't bare, but a lot of seniors graduating. Aiden Warner is, I still believe the school's, because he is the kicker and also scores a lot of darn touchdowns, he is the school's all-time leading scorer as far as football goes. It's kind of going to, looks like it'll be his show to a certain degree next year. He's going to be the focal point of that team, at least offensively. So what do you do going forward if you're this team where, again, a lot of seniors, the good thing is the guys that played behind him know what it's like to win. They know what the postseason is like. They know what the expectations are. Where do you go from here if you're South Adams?
Well, a lot of the reserves got plenty of playing time, too, over this year, would be in the second half in particular. You know, I think this is a program building season for South Adams. Their goal now is not this great, not to be number one every year, although, of course, that's the goal, but to be this competitive every year. Be Adams Central, because Adams Central's been able to have classes move through and still stay up there atop the ACAC, or at least in the conversation, and then be dangerous in the postseason. That's what South Adams needs to do, and I feel like they're capable of doing that. So you galvanize the entire community, you galvanize that football community and that pipeline to continue the tradition that those seniors built, the pursuit of excellence that they've had. And while you lose a lot in terms of talent, I think you can make up for that in motivation and excitement for younger kids coming up, and being able to understand that, hey, this is the bar now for South Adams football. Yes, we're not going to go to the state championship game every year, but by gosh, we're going to be in a conversation for double-digit wins each and every year. We're going to compete and be ACAC perennial contenders, pretty much what we see Adams Central at.